The on-demand home rental giant Airbnb this morning is investigating claims of racism by some of its users. An Airbnb host in North Carolina is accused of sending vile messages to a business student. Vladimir Duthiers of our streaming network CBSN talked to another customer who claims she faced racism on the site several times. Vlad, good morning.
Good morning. The latest incident involves a Northwestern University student only identified as Jane, who needed a temporary place to stay in Charlotte. She received messages apparently from the Airbnb host that were so offensive, the company decided to ban him for life. Proclaiming, "This is the South, darling," a user identifying himself as Todd Warner allegedly wrote, "Find another place to rest your N-word head." The messages were published on a blog by one of Jane's friends. Warner repeatedly cursed and used racist language, despite Jane telling him to stop.
I was absolutely appalled. It was just outrageous.
Chris Lahane is the global head of policy for Airbnb, which tells the more than 80 million people who have used its service they belong anywhere.
It's why we took immediate action and why we have a zero tolerance policy on any type of activity like this.
It makes me feel terrible. But I think it's part of the microaggressions of just being a Black American.
Chicago resident Cortina Crittenden says she experienced racial bias on Airbnb. She started the hashtag Airbnb while Black.
It took me about 7 to 8 times when I was using Airbnb, and each time I would get like a random excuse from the host, like, "Oh, it's booked. I decided to stay in my place this week."
You got suspicious, then what'd you do?
That's when I changed my profile. I changed my photo to a cityscape in Chicago. Then I shortened my name from Cortina to just Tina. And then after that, I never had any issues.
A Harvard Business School study confirmed what Crittenden suspected. Airbnb guests with distinctly African-American names were about 16% less likely to be accepted than those with white names.
The extent of discrimination is pretty persistent, so it holds whether there's an African-American host or a white host.
Airbnb's opponents and competitors have even seized on the issue, releasing this commercial last month.
I am a Black woman. I get declined all the time on Airbnb.
The company says it has begun offering training to employees and hosts. Laura Murphy, a former top ACLU official, will conduct a comprehensive review to make sure guests and hosts are being treated fairly.
And a really, really big challenge that everyone in society is dealing with, but we want to do our part.
Do you still want to use Airbnb, or has it turned you off?
I have no problem with Airbnb as a company, as a service, but I do think they need to put a little action behind their words.
Airbnb hopes to complete the review by September. CBS This Morning reached out to Jane, the user in North Carolina, but did not get a response. We also tried to contact the host, Todd Warner, but were unsuccessful.
I would imagine Todd Warner isn't interested in talking.
Yes, I think he's probably
in 2016,
hiding. Yes, in this day and age.
But I like what she said. It's not Airbnb, the company.
No.
Right, it's not.
They're trying to do
Some things make you sad, some things make you angry.
Angry, yeah. This one makes me sad and angry.
Yeah, I'm glad it's being exposed.
Me too. Thank you, Vlad.
Thank you.